Thank you very much, and first and foremost I would like to thank you for the invitation. It's a great pleasure to be here, and an honor as well to come and speak to you with heart. You are also facing important challenges, especially when it comes to your relationship and engagement with Europe. I would like to share some reflections on that question with you. In Europe, we live in times of tragedy and times of hope. Tragedy and hope, both. Why? Europe is facing an economic tragedy. The euro debt crisis is going from bad to worse. Almost all economies are burdened with debt, both public debt and private debt. The bailouts of countries like Greece are not working and will not work. They will increase the debt and make real recovery even more painful. This morning we have found out that the Greece haven't met the criteria. What a surprise. What a piece of news. And there is a solution, quite simple one, to this crisis, and it is recapitalize the banks, but not by the expense of Finnish taxpayer, please. German banks by German taxpayer, French banks by French taxpayer. So the ones who have ordered, they should pay. That's simple as that. And then let Greece go into debt restructuring. It goes anyway. We have wasted 18 months, and now the situation is worse day by day, and the political elite throughout Europe is just waving their hands and waiting for a miracle which doesn't come. Restructuring, like they did in Argentina, perhaps let it adopt another currency, maybe drachma, and then long road to recovery, and that is proven. In Argentina, the man who was in charge from central bank said recently that European rescue policy are economically crazy. I couldn't agree more. We are pouring money to this vehicle or permanent mechanism, and it just doesn't work. It takes the money out of small business. It takes the money out of real investments, which are now the key point to the recovery. We must put money there where can it produce something, give something new entrepreneurship, small business, risking, and that kind of stuff. But what we are doing, we are pouring the money to those who have played it wrong. And that is, I know that this option for the elite is so difficult. And why? For them, this is not about economics. For them, it's about ideology. And that is blind ideology which is not based on economics. And that is why it doesn't function. Europe is also in a legal and moral tragedy. First, we broke the rules on sovereign debt limits. That was the reason why we are in this mess in the first place. Then we broke the rules on not bailing out other member states. That is making things worse. Even the German Constitutional Court didn't have the guts to tell the whole truth on this. Partly it did. So the change is on the move. And finally, an economic and legal crisis is causing a political tragedy. The voters don't want this. In Germany, over 80% are now opposed for bailing out Greece. And they are not listened to. Instead, the Euro-federalists are using this crisis to push for treaty change, to centralize decision-making even more than before. The people would never accept it in normal times. As economical historian Robert Hicks explains, governments have always become more centralized and powerful during time of crisis. This is a scapegoat in order to make more Brussels-centered decision-making. They haven't even followed the previous treaties, and now they're more striving for more power. But still, there is times of hope as well. The crisis is always, as always, an opportunity. And there is always hope, and especially today, because skepticism about the European Union has never been as popular as it is today. In many countries, Eurosceptical parties are in government or powerfully influencing government from the opposition, and that is a big change. And this is going to go stronger, this tendency. For example, in Finland, nobody believed that big change could happen, and it did, because it was made. It didn't happen just like that. It required warmth, passion, vision, and then more work. And people want alternatives. They want to hear the truth. The common people are realistic about European Union. It's not even Euroscepticism. It's Euro-realism. In April, our party became one of the big ones in Finland. Not with money, not with media tactics. We grew because we said the truth. Simply and honestly, when everybody else was trying to hide it. That functions, and that keeps you in your roots. It earns respect. Augustine once said that there are many people who want to lie, but no one who wants to be lied to. And that is the case. Everyone, we want respect. We want that we are treated fairly. We can have shortcomings. We can have bad times. But as long as the game is just, we can take it. We are not against Europe. I love Europe, and Finland will always be part of Europe. But Europe is not the same as the European Union. Europe is cultural, historical, and geographical reality. It has existed for centuries before the European Union, and it will continue to exist after the European Union is gone. Europe will be here. It will be Europe before and after. The eurozone crisis is an opportunity. We must give an alternative, and we must present it in a consistent and convincing way. Some politicians will not listen, but the people will. But the people will listen. And that is essential in democracy. First, Europe needs to return to its roots. We need more freedom of trade and less centralization of decision-making. We cannot accept a new treaty that gives even more powers to Brussels. Second, we must put a stop to over-regulation. Brussels has become a giant factory of senseless regulation, which is costing our economics billions of euros and pounds. Much of European regulation is expensive and unnecessary. Open Europe, the UK think tank, has estimated that EU legislation is responsible for over 70% of the cost of regulations in the UK, and that EU regulations are more than twice as inefficient as UK regulations. And the situation is the same throughout Europe. Third, we should push for a new European localism. Not everything has to be decided together. Variable geometry is a good thing. the UK has been doing it quite often, the opt-outs. I will be always demanding opt-outs for Finns as well, and we need more of it. And fourth, we must develop concrete ways on enforcing the principle of subsidiarity enshrined in EU treaties. Currently, this principle is a dead letter, systematically violated. National governments should often complain that Brussels is breaking the rules and do nothing. Do nothing. And finally, we must build and strengthen the network of realistic parties across Europe, fostering cooperation also in national politics. That is real nationalism. Respect yourself and respect the others. Know yourself and know your neighbor, and work together. That is cooperation. And then, as a foreigner, I cannot tell you what you should do or how you should vote. However, I can encourage you to stand up and keep the pound and never surrender. Keep your own currency, keep your own decision making in your own hands. My dear friends, there are 3 lions in the English coat of arms, and I am sure they are there for some particular reason. And they are there, ready for fight the national sovereignty, to defend the history and the good things you have. Thank you very much for your attention. The day of independence is day near.